An important revelation in the Taiping Shan story was the mixed patterns of ownership in the district. It is also clear that property owners of different backgrounds, including many Europeans and Chinese, were aligned in their opposition to any regulations and rules that would affect their property interest. Another important discovery was the affiliations of these landlords. As shown in the property listing published after the plague outbreak, out of the 4 top landlords, who altogether owned 160 houses in the area, 3 were engaged in the building trade or worked in government departments responsible for land dealings. After these came 2 large commercial companies, the Hong Kong, the Canton and Macau Steamboat Company, and the Hong Kong Fire and Insurance Company. The list also included many other names of well-known persons, ranging from members of the Legislative Council, wealthy merchants and compradors, and professional architects and engineers. This embarrassing revelation was featured in an article published in the Hong Kong Telegraph, which listed out, street by street, the names of owners whose houses were of the worst conditions, showing that many were the wealthiest tycoons in the colony. What the article revealed was an irony. Despite their oft-proclaimed commitments to improve the welfare of Hong Kong people, many of the elites with money and power were complicit in creating the health and housing crisis themselves. The exposure of the landlords' identities also suggests that the public at the time was not unaware of the kind of collusion in development practice. The question is, why and how the situation became accepted as a norm, which continued to shape the forms of development in Hong Kong over the next century. Let's now turn to look at another disaster event, just a few years after the plague outbreak, when the government was once again caught up in a crisis of legitimacy. In 1901, 2 tenement buildings on Cochrane Street in Central suddenly collapsed, instantly killing 43 people. The catastrophe resulted in a prolonged investigation into the causes of the tragedy and the responsibility of the Public Works Department. The 2 collapsed houses were originally 3-story structures that were built during a speculative land boom in the 1870s. They were later bought by a Chinese investor surnamed Chan, who planned to add another story to each building. Now, at this time, adding extra stories to existing tenements was a pretty widespread practice, as landlords tried to capitalize on the high demand for housing by increasing the floor space of their properties and rental capacity. In the testimony, Chan revealed that he had already been doing the same thing for 20 to 30 houses which he owned around the city, and had hired European architects to help him produce the drawings required for getting the building permits. Almost all of these architects were former employees of the Public Works Department, who, after working in the government for a few years, all switched to private practice where they could make more money by servicing the landlords. And not surprisingly, they were in high demand because of their inside knowledge of the building regulation. The Cochrane Street investigation showed that the collapse of the 2 houses was caused by structural failure, whereas the party walls were built with broken bricks and were hollow inside. It was also reported that the Public Works Department never inspected the new construction, which obviously violated the building code. In the rest of the testimonies, the architect, the owner, and the contractor disputed against each other over the responsibility for causing the accident. Under pressure from the Colonial Office in London, the government soon set up a commission to inquire into the management of the Public Works Department. And it was discovered that many lower-ranked officials, including foremen, overseers, and office clerks, were all engaged in bribes by landlords and contractors who tried to bypass the building code and inspection. Accordingly, these briberies became even more widespread after the passing of a major public health regulation in 1903, with the intent to improve building safety and public health. Ironically, these new laws provided more opportunities for irregular practices. A report in 1906 alleged that the network of corruption involved both Chinese and European officials and workers, who collaborated with outside contractors to establish monopolies in building trades and construction works. To rectify the problem, the government attempted to restructure the Public Works Department, raising staff salaries and hiring better trained professionals directly from England. But for the most part, these attempts did not succeed, mainly because of the entrenched interest in Hong Kong's property development. The collusion between the Chinese landlords and contractors, European architects, and government officials also showed that these different parties shared a desire to make quick gains through illicit means. Although the phenomenon had been criticized by many social commentators at the time, and were also viewed negatively in historical writings, they nevertheless helped to neutralize some of the tensions in a racially divided and highly stratified colonial society.